The following podcast is about movies and TV. There may be spoilers, though we do try to avoid them. Also, we occasionally mention current events like the COVID-19 pandemic. This isn't our focus, but it is a topic that is hard to avoid. We know that some are trying to avoid these things because times are strange, but we hope you consider our show a pleasant distraction.
I love you.
Mumble, mumble, toil and trouble.
Yep. Grumble, grumble.
Grumble, grumble. Welcome back, everybody. We're Green and Faceless on the couch. I'm the Green Traveler.
I'm Faceless Leon, and this is a threesome.
This is a threesome. We got the stamina back.
Uh-huh.
Found our mojo. Dove right in.
Now we're ready to go.
You know, it's also, not only is it a threesome, but it's a very important threesome because it's the first threesome of the best time of the year. It's October.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it is.
It is
no
undisputable.
No debate.
Okay.
Undisputable. Yeah,
all right.
indisputable.
I'm definitely going to be outvoted and I honestly don't have anything to contend with it, so I don't know why I even bring up the argument. It probably is the best month.
October is undoubtedly the best month of the year. You know,
it's pretty
pumpkin's
good.
Back. Pumpkin spice is back.
That for those people who are into that, yep.
Which is everybody.
That's true. I am guilty of indulging.
Yeah, of course you are. You are just human.
Yeah, I am. Yep.
But it's also my favorite time of the year because of Halloween, which is my favorite holiday. I've, for the past probably 7 or 8 years, done a October horror movie marathon where I watch at least one horror movie a day, at least in the beginning. That's gone down quite a lot because watching 31 days of horror movies can get kind of stressful, tiring,
repetitive.
That's true. Sorry if you hear my dog whining in the background.
Oh, that's okay. People are happy to know you have a dog.
Yeah. She's not happy right now. But, now I've given myself like a couple of relaxed days throughout the week, but now I kind of just structure it around themes. And, I try to have a, different theme for each week. But I don't always live up to that. Sometimes I just get bored.
Sure.
And, but I did have a theme for this first threesome, because we're going to try to do a threesome a week for, Halloween. Horror threesome, I should say, a week.
Right.
And we're starting it off kind of, easing our way into the horror movies.
Yeah, it's like a toe dip in the water.
Yeah, just dipping your little toe in there, just to get, the childhood back. We're going nostalgia, at least for me. I don't know how, if you ever watched these movies as a kid. But all 3 of these movies, actually, no, I shouldn't say that because I didn't actually ever watch Hocus Pocus. Yeah.
Now they know.
That's a spoiler. That's a spoiler, by the way, people. One of our movies was Hocus Pocus.
Oh, shoot. We should put a warning at the beginning of the episode. There's spoilers.
Shit. No, well, yeah, we'll try not to spoil too much, but these are all movies from the 90s, so if we do say some spoilers, it's on you for not
having
a childhood.
You had time.
Yeah, you've had plenty of time.
And we'll let you know if they're still worth watching,
Yeah.
Either way.
We'll get to it.
Yeah, for sure.
But the first movie we're going to talk about, for the youngins, the really youngins, we're going to Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
Scooby-Doo.
Which was released in... released in 1998.
1998. Damn.
Yeah.
So, dating myself here, I was 6. Scooby-Doo shit hadn't come out in a while. And it was bonkers. Because... 5. Yeah, you were 5. And it was crazy because the whole gimmick of this particular movie coming back is that I remember even in advertising, the monsters are real. And it.
They were
So
always real.
they've grown
To
up a
them.
little bit in this film. That's kind of the premise.
It's
They've
much.
moved on. In fact, Scooby and Shaggy are TSA agents. And
Yeah. For a few minutes, yeah.
yeah, for a few minutes at the beginning. And the real impetus of the show is that Daphne actually has a talk show. At least that's what gets them going where they're going to go, is that they go on a tour, get the Mystery Inc. gang back together, do a tour of some haunted places, and every time
In order to
go ahead and fill in the
find
blank.
a real, in order to
They
find
want
a
to
real
find a real one.
monster.
That's right. They want the
They
real.
don't want to. They're tired of unmasking.
They are, exactly. And they go through this big long montage of doing just that. And
Need
then
a montage.
yeah, you needed a montage, Greg.
They always need a montage.
And anywho's, they end up on this Scar something island, I forget. Moonscar? Is it Moonscar? That sounds right.
I mean, that's one of the ghosts that they meet.
Yes, but I believe the island was named after him. I believe
Was
so.
it? I honestly don't remember.
And they end up on Moonscar Island, and they meet these two Cajun women and eat a bunch of real good food. And then they start getting attacked by zombies, thus the title. And I think that's honestly, for a Scooby-Doo movie, is enough of a synopsis.
I think it's too much of a synopsis.
Too much? Yeah,
No,
maybe at the beginning.
I'm joking. No, it's, as you said, it's definitely a much it's like a more serious, Scooby-Doo movie than what I remember. As a kid, I mean, it's still like, I loved it as a kid because it felt like a Scooby-Doo episode, just much more serious and way longer. You had a lot more to it.
Right, yeah.
It's an hour and a half.
There's a
maybe a little less than an
surprising
hour and a
amount of
half.
depth to this movie, I'll say,
Yeah.
for a kid's movie. And I think that's because
There's-
they were really writing it for, people that are our age now, taking their kids to the movie back in 1998. So, my parents who watched the actual Hanna-Barbera cartoons when they were airing on TV.
Well, I didn't watch them when they were, airing, but I watched them when they reran.
Oh, I mean my parents. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know that. I was saying, like, I watched them too as a kid. Like,
Oh,
that was
sure. Yeah, definitely.
My
Loved
childhood
them.
was like
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo and SpongeBob.
That's why my whole family was excited about this movie, honestly. Like, my dad liked Scooby-Doo growing up, and he said, there's a Scooby-Doo movie coming to the theaters? Okay, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember
then
seeing
it was,
it in theaters,
and
though.
then it was really scary. There's some legitimately frightening things in this movie for a kids movie.
I don't know. I
they're
feel like
good.
I wasn't too scared. Because I love the show so much that, like, I felt like when I watched this as a kid, I was waiting for them to unmask it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like I was excited because it felt like a great mystery.
Right.
And not to spoil anything, but the mystery's even better than I thought it would be.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
for
a fun.
Sure.
It's a lot of fun, and they nail the characters like Scooby and Shaggy, everybody. I mean, they're all kind of stereotyped. Like, they're pretty easy to.
Oh, yeah.
You can't really
I mean,
mess
they're
them
the
up.
same characters over and over again, but they
And it's
do
just
make
like, I
them a
don't
little
know-
more grown.
Yeah, that definitely. And I don't know if Daphne and Velma were voiced by anyone different, but Fred and Scooby was still. Well, I don't know about Scooby. I shouldn't say about Scooby, but Fred was still Frank Welker from the original animation. But I didn't know this as a kid. I always thought my first introduction to Billy West was Futurama. I think it was here. I mean, maybe he was in another area, but Shaggy Rogers is voiced by Billy West.
No.
And I didn't realize that until I started the movie and his name popped up, and I was like, no fucking way. I love that. I love that man. Great voice actor, and he does a great job as Shaggy. Um, as a kid, I honestly thought it was Casey Kasem. I thought it was
Yeah.
also the original
Right.
voice actor.
I think that Velma was Velma, but I could be wrong. And I don't remember what the original cast members were, their names off my head, but
Yeah, sadly I don't for Daphne and Velma. It's probably sexist.
that's probably it. I mean,
That-
we lived
that male
life through a
ignorance.
different lens in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now we're adapted. We've adapted to include everyone in our lives.
And that's all right. That's for the better.
Yes, for sure. Damn sure. And
No look back.
No look back. There's some
Except let's remember the nostalgia of the 90s though.
Oh yeah. That is the era of nostalgia. I will say that. But I'm sure that 20 years ago, people thought that about the 70s.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I
would
think
say-
there's
No,
some
go ahead.
good stuff in this movie. I mean, Shaggy and Scooby, they're eating food. What'd you expect? They're eating food and they're loving it, and I can respect that as a man who eats food. And there's this great bit throughout the movie with these hot Louisiana peppers, and I can also appreciate that because I love hot food. I couldn't do the hot peppers,
Can't, man.
especially not anymore. I ruined my stomach
No.
as a child. But as a
Eating
kid,
hot peppers.
I was like, those guys are boss. And I was all about it. And I tried I think the next time I was at a place that had that jar, a steak and shake. It was a steak and shake and they had those jar of peppers and that you're just supposed to pour
yeah.
the juice on your fries or whatever. I definitely
always
put
take
some
them
of
out.
those peppers on my sandwich. And those aren't super spicy or anything, but
No.
it was hot for a little kid. I would say that.
Oh man. No, I like that the whole pepper joke. I thought it was funny, and everybody always wonders how Shaggy can be so skinny. And I feel like whenever
Yeah.
people ask that, whenever they wonder that, they don't seem to realize that Scooby literally eats almost everything Shaggy
all of
has in
it.
his hand.
There's one
Like-
line that cracks me up every time I hear it in this movie, and it's after Scooby just vacuum sucks the sandwich away. Are you about to bring this up?
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
anyways, then he bites into the sandwich. It's just the bread, and he says,
And I think a single strip
Yeah.
of lettuce.
"Yeah, like one slice of lettuce or something." He's like that wasn't as filling as I thought it would be.
Oh man, I feel so bad for Shaggy.
I do too.
And then you wonder, it's just like how his dog fucking lives, man.
Well,
How
they
can
are in
Scooby-
such a constant state of terror that his
He's just constantly burning it off.
Yeah, it's just constantly burning it away. So anything that Shaggy does eat is instantly gone, as well. And that's a big dog. I mean, that dog needs
Yeah.
to eat at least some of that food that he's been eating.
Another thing I really liked, especially about their characters, was I like that they played up Scooby-Doo being a dog.
Yeah,
'Cause throughout this entire movie, he's like chasing cats. Every
Yeah.
time he sees a cat, he just goes berserk. And like I feel like you didn't really get that much in the animation. Like, of course he's a dog. Like,
yeah.
they never say anything otherwise. But it's just like,
But
you know,
he's
a
a
lot of the times
talking
it's just
dog.
like, yeah, he's a talking dog who helps him solve. He's just another member of the Mystery Inc.
Right.
But it's just like here, it kind of just like it felt like it was actually utilized in the story
Right.
that he is a dog.
He
And
does.
he is opposed to the villains.
Yes, he is very opposed to the villains. And yeah, he does kind of play a different role in this than he typically does in the show, because like a dog, he does make a mess almost every single episode of the show. That's the most dog-like quality that's completely repeated throughout the show.
Yeah.
But in the movie, he does act a little bit more like a guard dog than I would say that he usually does in the show. Because like you said, he hates the villains in this.
Right. But like, it's a solid movie. It's it feels like a good episode of Scooby-Doo. The exposition's kind of really slow and boring. I had to watch this twice. I watched it one night and fell asleep during a lot of the exposition scenes.
Oh no.
And then fell asleep before the ending. And that was just because I stayed up too late trying to watch this. But then the next morning I finished it and rewatched some of the exposition scenes just so I knew I'd seen everything. But those exposition scenes kind of drag it down. Like, it definitely feels like they tried to make a hour-long movie. Or
Bless you.
It definitely feels like they try to make an hour-long episode fit a movie length with the hour and a half.
Right.
So
I think it's actually only hour 19. I think it's an hour 19.
Yeah. Like they made it just long enough to to release it that way. And I feel like the exposition really just kind of weighs it down a little bit, because this, again, as you said, like, they open up the movie with a montage. And
yeah, that's after they're introduced a little bit. Or is it direct? Are there two montages? Is there a montage?
There's two. There's two within. Yeah, there's a montage at the beginning with them unmasking a monster, I think.
Oh,
I'm
right.
Sure.
It is. Yeah, I think it was
it's the
part of
credits.
her newsreel. Is how it was framed.
But that one I give a pass on because it's opening credits.
Right.
It has a kick-ass song behind it. That's fine. I don't mind montages and like introduction scenes like that. But like, I feel like the main contributing factor to whether a montage is worth it is once you see the montage, do you remember it?
Right.
I don't remember any of the montages after that, like intro, really, because they're not worth it. You can get from scene A to scene B without that montage in the middle and still kind of understand what's going on. You just maybe have to slip in like one more line of exposition,
or even a title slide that says several months later or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they can they could say that they haven't had any luck through an exposition scene,
Yeah.
Which you think the film needs less of. That's fine.
Yeah, that's not to knock it. It's a kids movie.
Mm-hmm.
The exposition's for the kids. It's supposed to help them. They're not going to pick up on everything.
Right.
So it's more to keep them coming along with the story, which, I'm not going to knock it for that.
Sure.
It's a lot of fun. It's more morbid than I remembered it being as a kid.
Definitely.
There's this, like, they pull the head off of a zombie and then they play hot potato with it with the entire Mystery Inc. Where they're all passing this decayed head back and forth. Like, animation, you can get away with that in animation, but like, imagine that in live action. It
would be so funny. I'm sorry. I think it would be so funny if like this.
It'd be funny, but it'd be so morbid.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yes, horrifyingly morbid.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that gross in animation, but if you bring that to live action, like, imagine them just tossing the head around from like Cabin in the Woods, like, just throwing that back and forth.
That would have been a great ad. In fact, I feel like that was a scene that didn't make the movie. I feel like they filmed that. Oh man. Well, I have, since you brought up the exposition, I actually, as a kid especially, and like you said, it is maybe more for the kids audience than the adults, but I like those exposition scenes at the beginning because it really worked for this particular movie at this particular time, I think because there had been so long since something that was Scooby-Doo and like had been getting a lot of press attention was coming out.
It's worth it at the beginning.
Oh,
definitely.
yeah. Like, to find out where these characters ended up at, I think that it's very interesting. And it definitely, there are some moments that are showing them trying to be adults. Some more successful than others. Yeah. I thought that was really interesting as a kid, and I still think it's kind of cool to see. Okay, so we had these Scooby-Doo VHSs that had just like a string of episodes, but there was an interlude on this one videotape. There was an interlude between each episode that just talked about the Mystery Inc. And it was almost like a documentary.
Did it have moments where like the gang was sitting around like a backstage, like a green room kind of thing, just like talking to? Yep, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and the same
I
VHS.
loved that shit. I was like, oh my god, you get to learn more about the Scooby-Doo gang. And I bet if you go back and watch that as an adult, there's a bunch of hidden jokes that,
definitely
you would not have caught.
That was one of the things that like I would put that VHS on, and like, you don't want to watch every episode on there sometimes.
No.
But sometimes I would put that on there just so I could see the interludes. Like I would fast forward through the episodes just because I love the interludes.
I love that they used to call Shaggy Buzz.
Oh man.
Well, all right. Do you think
Shaggy Rogers?
Do you think that maybe we talked about Scooby-Doo enough, or you guys something else to say?
Yeah, I would wrap up with I would give it 3 out of 4 stars.
Yeah.
It's harder to grade a kids movie.
Sure.
Because if I were to grade it for me personally, I would say it's more like a 2 out of 4.
Sure.
It's fun. You can enjoy it. It definitely has a lot of nostalgia for me. An amazing song like Terror Time by Sky Cycle. I leaped off my couch and was enjoying that shit. I love that song because like that brought back a lot of memories from childhood. Like me and my brother just loved that song, and we would run around the house like we were kind of hopped up on Puppy Chow, what what Chex Mix calls Muddy Buddies. I think.
Sure, yeah, I know.
They're not a sponsor. We're not sponsored by Chex Mix.
We're sponsored by Homemade Puppy Chow, Callahan Mix.
Yeah, the Callahan Mix, because that's what we called it. We called it Puppy Chow. Like, and my brother and I would get hopped up on that and just watch a bunch of horror movies around, in October. And this was one of them that we always watched every year because it was. I remember Cartoon Network did. I think it was like 13 days of Halloween or whatever, and Scooby-Doo had like I think it was What's New Scooby-Doo, one of the newer.
Yeah, I think that one didn't come out.
That was more.
Yeah, I think that one took a while.
I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah,
but there's one that's really specifically focused on horror, and it's much darker atmosphere. I mean, it's not scary, but it's a darker atmosphere for Halloween. And, we would watch that and this movie all the time. So the nostalgia's there for this one.
For sure.
But the exposition does kind of drag it down a bit.
Right.
But I would recommend it. I still think, especially if you love Scooby-Doo, it's still enjoyable for adults. You can just kick back and just enjoy this little gem from your childhood all over again.
And honestly, if I were to take all the Scooby-Doo movies, I would say that this one is the most returnable.
Yeah. I would also... Oh, no, go ahead with...
I
just remembered something.
I think... I mean, there's 2 movies that came after this kind of in a similar style. Just really not as good. Kind of fell flat a little bit. And then... There are all those movies that came out before we were born for television, where they had all the guest stars and stuff. I can't really speak to those because I haven't really watched them. But
I love this.
For the things that came out after I was born, even the live action ones, which are hilarious, I do think this is the most the most fun I have with a Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I did remember that it does feel like, especially with the live action movies, whenever they make a new Scooby-Doo movie, and I don't know, maybe there was another movie that used this formula before Zombie Island, but it feels like Zombie Island, like for me, this is the first movie where the formula was the gang breaks up, and then they, the story is them coming back together and learning how to, kind of
Right.
be a group again, a gang again.
Right.
And like again, maybe there was another movie before that where the gang broke up, and that was like the main plot point. But like that's how the live action movie starts.
That's true.
That's how one of the more recent movies.
I do think the live action was heavily influenced by this movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because their whole gag was the monsters are real too.
Yeah.
Because they knew it sold.
And I think that's good for
Scooby-Doo. No, I think we can we'll move on to Halloweentown.
Moving on to Halloweentown.
So, Greggy Green, why don't you tell us a little bit about Halloweentown?
Halloweentown. This is probably one of the bigger movies from my childhood. That I haven't returned to in a long time. My brother and I used to watch this one a lot. So Halloweentown is about a little girl who she's on her, she's in her 13th birth year. I don't think it's a birthday or anything, but it's
her 13th Halloween.
Yeah, okay, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's her 13th Halloween, and if she is not trained, dramatic irony, the little girl doesn't know this, but if she's not trained to be a witch by the end of her 13th Halloween, her powers go away or whatever. Yeah.
Why?
And her mom's very against her being a witch, so her mom wants her to not be trained. Her mom's played by April O'Neil from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's Judith Hoag. But yeah, for me, she'll forever be April O'Neil.
That's true. That's fair. Her hair is not as curly in this movie.
No, it's not
at all.
And she's just a little more mean than I like my April O'Neil being. But but no, her grandmother though, played by Debbie Reynolds, grandmother of the witch Aggie, a very important witch, as you'll find out in the movie. But her grandmother really wants her to be raised as a witch, especially since where her grandmother lives in what would you call, like another dimension, Halloweentown.
It is Halloweentown. It might be another dimension.
It's like another world.
I think it's like slightly mentioned that the monsters made it as kind of a safe haven.
Yeah.
Because they weren't really accepted on Earth or something.
Yeah, because I do remember that, because us humans are like, we're assholes. We drove them out. These powerful creatures with all their magic and their beautiful, wonderful fairy tale magic, we drove them out. Just us normal humans.
Yeah,
we suck.
Just because they were a little spoopy.
They looked weird.
They do. The monsters in this movie are very strange.
We can't live with that. No.
Yeah.
But that's
But in this movie in particular, there is a style to these monsters.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. Excuse me. You're synopsizing.
Yeah, but that's just it. There's trouble going on in Halloweentown. Right. Aggie's been noticing that her friends are they're starting to act weird. They're acting like they don't know her, or they don't know their actions, that kind of stuff. And she knows she needs another witch. I don't know how she knows, but she knows she needs another witch to help her, solve the issue. She needs another witch, particularly of her family, and she knows her daughter, April O'Neil's not going to do it. So she turns to her just completely bitchy granddaughter, Marnie.
Marnie is the worst. She is, yeah. I'll give you
It's
that.
not a statement on the actor. I'm not gonna attack child actors. Sometimes it takes an actor a while to find, the right coach to truly get their
Right.
talent uh, honed.
And I don't think she was
She's not bad.
at portraying the character. It was just that the character was kind of a brat. I mean,
Character's a real big brat. Her mom,
yeah.
like her poor mom. I felt so bad for her. But I'm sure that's how most kids are at that age too. I mean, I definitely had my moments like Marnie did. I'm not gonna deny that, but damn, throughout the course of this movie, I'm just like, can you stop? And then they have a little brother. Pretty much what happens is Marnie overhears her grandmother and her mother talking about Marnie being a witch. And Marnie wants to be a witch. She wants the powers, because she's like, oh, it explains so much about my life. It makes me feel special, la-di-da-di-da. So with her brother and her even younger sister, they sneak out, follow their aunt on the bus, which I never really understood how they got on the bus without their aunt noticing, because their aunt
it's their grandmother, but
that's right.
They use the emergency exit in the back of the bus that all buses have, even monster buses. Greg.
Yeah, but it's an emergency exit. An alarm sounds.
I know, I know. Maybe that whole idea of having an alarm back there happened when we were kids. And so
but when we were kids was when this movie came out.
You're right.
And when this movie is set.
But maybe for the writers of this film, that wasn't like a set standard norm yet.
I think.
But yeah, if you open up that little door in the back, there's an alarm going to go off because you're driving down the road and you don't want people to fall out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a kid's going to test that handle. That's just a thing to do when you're a kid.
This is also not a school bus. Yeah. But it looks like a school
bus. That's true, yeah. Maybe it didn't function. Maybe it's just like a car door. But yeah, they sneak out on the school bus that crosses weird interdimensional portals, and they get into the world that is Halloweentown. And they start helping their grandmother, solve the issue that's going on with Halloweentown. Right. And I think that's a decent synopsis there.
I'd say that's a decent synopsis.
The whole thing is directed. Yeah, the whole thing is directed by Dwayne Dunham, who I found out was the director of Homeward Bound, and a few episodes of Twin Peaks.
Interesting.
Blake and I quite love Twin Peaks.
Yeah, at least the first season.
Yeah, at least the first.
I haven't watched the second.
You really haven't?
I'm the worst.
Oh man,
no.
Yeah, I've watched it so many times, and then at the same time, I feel like I always stop paying attention around the second season. Like I know what happens, but like I feel like that's the season where I start drifting with Twin Peaks.
Right. Did you watch the third season? I haven't. Obviously,
not yet.
I haven't seen the second.
No, yeah, I want to rewatch the whole show again just so I actually do have.
Right.
Because
so do I. We should do that sometime.
I'm totally down. But totally off topic. But like I do see a lot of his. Twin Peaks. It's most TV shows have different directors like every episode, so it's like it's hard to say that I saw his style in Twin Peaks. That's that's the showrunner's style typically.
Right.
I shouldn't say that. That that could always change too, but it does definitely feel, at times like a little surreal, a little, I do see a little bit of that Twin Peaks humor, especially with the monsters, because the monsters do carry that little bit of that just crazy. I don't know what you would call it, but like they're.
I don't know. Yeah, it's strange. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go.
Oh, I don't have anything. So,
but anyways, nothing with the monsters. I thought you said you had something with the monsters.
Well, they. Oh yes, earlier I was saying they're there's definitely a style for these monsters. Like they were definitely made by the same costumer, which, you know, that's not a bad thing or anything, but there definitely a lot of prosthetics, a lot of big bulbous heads, and it's really funny, honestly. And, you know, it's a kid movie, so I guess maybe they didn't want to make it too scary. But it's just, honestly, some of them are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
The main villain, though, I would say that he was kind of spooky for, you know, TV movie.
Yeah, I liked...
For sure.
Yeah, especially when you get to see him as the villain. But I think, like, even before that...
That's what I mean, yeah.
What I mean by that is there's a reveal of who the villain is. And as an adult, I mean, I feel like even as a kid, I knew who the fucking villain was. They set up, like, 6 characters in Halloweentown, and that's it. So, like, it's very obvious to weed out who the characters are.
It's true.
So it's just, like, it's fairly easy to figure out who the villain's going to be by the time you get to the end. It's kind of just a matter of why is he doing it, you know?
Yeah, the motive is not clear, I think, even at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Like,
I'm
not
sure why he decided to do this.
It's like I might have just stopped paying attention after a while, because it's like once he starts, you know, orating loudly on top of like a church kind of thing, I was kind of just like, oh man. Yeah. And I feel like that's when he's giving his grand speech and telling us why he's doing it, but I wasn't paying attention.
He says something about returning to the dark times, which they kind of mention once or twice during the film.
Yeah, I feel like they wanted to go back to like Earth to like reclaim.
Yeah, to terrorize people, I think was what he did not like humans.
No, yeah.
In fact, he calls one of the kids a half-breed brat or something like that.
Well, she is.
Very Voldemort-y. Oh, this is JK's. This is Daniel Radcliffe's inspiration.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say this came out in 1998, so I don't know about that.
Just teasing.
But one.
My dog's going crazy now.
One.
I don't know if you could hear.
I did. I heard a little bit. Her name's Garlic. She's real cute, you guys.
She is.
My dog's name is Zelda. She also real cute.
She real cute. Named after video games.
Named after the video games.
And mine's named after vegetables.
Oh, I thought yours was named after Garlic Jr. from Dragon Ball.
Oh.
Like Garlic Jr. came from your dog.
I see. My dog gave birth to Garlic Jr. That's unfortunate. That I have to be doggy grandpa to Garlic Jr.
One, back to Halloweentown, though.
Yes, back to Halloweentown. We keep on getting distracted on this one.
I feel like that speaks to this movie. Because, like, to go into some of the negatives, the exposition, and again, I know this is made for kids. I'm not gonna, I shouldn't attack the exposition too hard. This was some of the laziest exposition I've ever seen in movies. There's a character whose name is Luke, and he's like the bully kid. And this is Luke's entrance. When he comes on screen, Aggie goes, "This is a local boy, Luke." And then Luke swings around like all cool kid, like he's gonna smoke a cigarette leaning up against a pole, but he's not. He's not smoking a cigarette, but like he swings around, leans up against a pole, and he says, "I'm sort of a big cheese around here."
Yeah.
That's how he's introduced.
What does Marty say?
I don't remember what Marnie says.
I will tell you. I can tell you what Marty says. It's the best, worst thing ever. She says, "Oh, well, I think something around here is stinky. Must be the big cheese." It's just the worst. I looked over at my wife and was like, "Is this for real?"
Oh, man.
Like, is that the best they could come up with? And this like, she's standing next to the flying broom salesman, and he acts like he's so impressed.
Oh yeah.
With this comeback. It's just the worst.
It's terrible, man. And I don't know. I remember the second film being more compelling. Again, I haven't watched the second film either since the exact same time that I watched this movie because they used to be
Right.
shown back to back on Nickelodeon.
Right. I think that they're Disney, but yes.
Oh yeah.
But
that would be where they would be shown.
I think I agree with you though. Like even so, Luke in this movie is supposed to be the minion type character, and they just really don't utilize him very well.
Is he the younger brother?
No, the the guy that you were just talking about, the big cheese.
Oh,
isn't his name Luke?
Yeah,
it is Luke,
sorry.
right?
I immediately forgot that character.
yeah. I mean, you said enough about him.
I talked about him, and he was gone.
He's gone. But anyways, this little tidbit that I have left about him, I do think in the second movie, because he's a recurring character in the second movie, he is used a little bit better. And I don't know if it's because the actor has grown and is better, but Marnie is a better character in the second movie too, I think.
Yeah, and again, like I can't attest to it because I haven't seen it in a while. But like I remember,
it has been a really long time.
I remember everything you just said being the case. I remember the villain's plan being better. And the villain was, he even seemed more frightening. I think it's the same villain because I think it's the exact same. I feel like it's. I think it's Halloween 2, Blank's Revenge, and the blank is.
Oh, I think you are right. I think
so.
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Blank returns.
Blank returns. But no, it's. I feel like we've said our thoughts on this movie. It's forgettable.
I know. Yeah, it is.
It makes me sad because it still has a lot of nostalgia for me. I remember a lot of my childhood watching this, but rewatching it as an adult, the nostalgia didn't help it. The exposition kind of just made me laugh a lot. Just kind of just how lazy it was. Not in a good, not a good laughter.
The kids and the mom at the beginning.
Yeah,
it was so bad. It was like watching, The Room.
Oh, not that. I wouldn't say it was that bad.
Oh, it wasn't that bad.
This is a kids movie.
Same kind of. It's the same kind. Yeah, it's the same kind of feeling. Like, are the writers for real? In this?
It's kind of like writers trying to appeal to kids and not knowing how to do it. But I mean. At the time, I watched it and I loved it. So
yeah,
I guess
right? Yeah, I loved it as a kid.
guess I shouldn't say that
the spectacle
they failed.
of this movie is worth it.
I would say even as a kid's grade, I would give it 2 out of 4 stars.
Yeah,
even taking in the fact.
It could have been better constructed. Kind
of dated.
I'm totally with you. Yeah, kind of dated. Oh, there was one thing I want to talk about, and that was the siblings a little bit, because they are interesting. Honestly, I think the little girl character is adorable.
Oh yeah, agreed.
I don't want she's a little,
also one of the more useful
she's
characters.
Not super. What's that?
I say she's also one of the more useful characters.
Right, but also in the same case, I think she was a little underused.
Yeah, I feel like
she could have.
She is underused, but I feel like she's more. She's a plot convenience.
Yeah,
so she's underused, but she's overused as a plot convenience because it's like there's so much more her character could do, but it's like brother and Marnie are arguing. All right, little sister's gonna come in with it's like she's gonna say something really smart that's gonna make them both be like, oh, yeah, maybe we should stop. Right. And then there's those kind of moments constantly where it's like the little girl solves the issue, so Marnie could take over and finish the bigger issue.
Because Marnie has to be the leader. She's
it's her story.
Like, just make the little girl the protagonist. Like, I think it would have been a better movie.
Hey, just boot Marnie out. No, I'm sorry, Marnie.
We'll reserve if Marnie shouldn't have been the protagonist for the second movie.
That's
because
fair.
I think we both have this nostalgic feeling that she was better in that.
Yeah, if we ever watch the
I
second
do
movie.
want to mention something about the little brother. I don't remember what the kid's name was for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't write him down.
But I thought he was so funny because they made him this little miniature adult.
Oh yeah.
Who was concerned about conserving energy and like super practical and
Always had a snitch.
What's that?
Always had a snitch.
Always had
Mom
to
had
snitch.
to know everything.
Very true.
Yeah, he was very studious about that.
Yeah. But that was because that was the most logical thing to do, Greg.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I wrote down that he's the poor man's excuse for the comedic relief.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think like the concept was funny, the jokes fell flat.
Well, I feel like
there was a couple of jokes that I felt like were on the edge of sexist and racist. There were a couple of them that were, but like, you know, super subdued so that a kid could say them. But like, I can't remember the one I thought was racist, but it was weird.
Probably directed
like
at the monsters.
Saying this stuff. Yeah, it might have been something to do with
I
the
feel
monsters.
like once they come across the monsters, I think they say something along the lines that seems a little racy.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like he's a bit of the inverse, too, because everything around them is weird, and he's the normal one, and that's what makes him the comedic relief, is because he's, like, very normalized, like, no. You know? It's just like, I think we should get back to Earth and live boring lives as executives in cubicles.
Please, just let's be normal. But he... I think, like a lot of things in this movie, it was a good tool that wasn't used very well.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much kind of speaks for this movie as a whole. But, you know, if your kids want to watch a Halloween movie...
It's a good intro.
This isn't a bad movie, to start with.
Yeah, especially if they're really young.
Especially if you want to watch all three of these movies with them.
Oh, God, there's 3.
There's 3. It's Halloweentown High.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Is that also with the same actors?
Marnie, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Grandma Aggie, at least, is in it, and so is Marnie.
Still Debbie Reynolds?
I don't know about the rest of them. I don't know. I can't remember. But they're, like, going undercover into the high school because something's going down.
Oh, fuck, man.
And Aggie becomes a teacher, and Marnie goes undercover as a student, but she is very clearly a 30-year-old lady. Once again, no attack on this actor. They just
Kimberly Brown.
That's how I remember the synopsis of the movie too. I could be wrong. She could have been like a teacher's aide or something, but I remember her being an undercover student.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we talked about this movie.
Yeah, I feel like we could toss this into the trash. No, I'm kidding. It's all right for kids.
It's all right.
Especially if they're young, it's good for the younger kids. But the nostalgia couldn't save this one. Right.
But also on that same note, if you are nostalgic about this movie, I say it's worth giving it a try to see if it holds up. Your opinion might be different than ours. But
it's not.
Our opinion is it's not. So, got one more movie to talk about. We're going to talk
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus is it is kind of the encapsulation of what Halloween truly is, isn't it? Just in those 2 words. It's Hocus Pocus. Okay, but anyways, this movie, it's a good movie, I would say, just right out of the bag, I'll say that. It's about the Sanderson sisters, a witch trio from the old times of Salem, and when they put a curse on the town, anybody lights the candle? we'll see them again. That's what's going to happen. And
anybody that lights a specific candle, not
that's
just
right.
Candle.
One specific candle, and lo and behold, modern times come around. 300 years later, I believe they say, and this little boy, can't remember his name.
He's an outsider.
He's an outsider. Yeah, he's from L.A. And he's from L.A. And he lights the candle because he don't believe in the Hocus Pocus.
Because he's a fucking dumbass.
Yeah, he's really... It's so stupid. It's a really dumb thing to do.
Everybody's telling him not to light the damn candle, and he goes and lights the damn candle.
He just all the Salem people are really superstitious about it, and they even closed down they used the house as a museum, the sister's house, for a museum for a long time, and they had closed it down. This is before the show even starts because it's too spooky. Spooky.
Mm-hmm.
And Amen. Sisters. And anyways, he lights the candle, they come back, and the witches, they're gonna use the children to stay young. That's the story. That is the story, and these kids try to stop them. The same kids that bring them forth to try to stop them.
They feed off the kids, and they feed off their youth, and remain young forever.
Hey, that's how they remain young, and some of them beautiful. They're all beautifully well portrayed. I'll say that. Not betrayed. Excuse me. Portrayed.
They perfect casting.
Yes, I do think so. Bette Midler, everyone knows that she is the goddess of stagecraft, and she's great. Everybody loves Bette Midler. And she does a great job as this character, the oldest character, Winifred, of the Three Sisters. And then we have Kathy Najimy. I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly. Probably not, and I apologize.
She's not listening.
What's that?
She's not listening.
She's probably not listening. That's fair. Anyways, I really appreciate this actor throughout all the movies that she's been in as I was a child. There was a movie called Rat Race that we used to watch all the time.
Oh, God.
She's in Sister
Rat
Act.
Race, that's one of Zaz. Zucker Abraham.
No, it is? That movie's funny. It is.
I think so. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it's one of them.
It's it is still slapsticky for sure, but it is a lot less zany background and stuff.
Doesn't it have Danny DeVito in it?
I do believe he's in it for a part, but there's so many people in this movie.
I remember watching it. I don't remember it.
Yeah. But anyhow, Hocus Pocus.
Kathy Najimy.
Kathy Najimy plays the middle sister. I believe her name is Mary. And she does do a great job. I would say, but for me, she is kind of the least of the three, which is unfortunate because, like I said, I really enjoy her other work.
Yeah, well, she's kind of just she's great, and but she's also kind of the glue between the other two sisters.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
She there's some good work there. I will not say that she portrays the character badly in any way. I just think I liked the portrayal of the other two a little bit more. She's definitely the goofiest of the three characters.
Yeah.
Always hungry.
I don't know. I feel like Sarah Jessica...
Sarah's pretty goofy. So just so you know, everybody, Sarah Jessica Parker plays herself in this film. And she plays a witch named Sarah. And I'm not actually trying to say anything about Sarah Jessica Parker. I just think it's funny that the character shares her name.
So goofy.
She's very, very goofy. Some of her lines crack me up so much, though, and they're just small little things. She
delivered everything so well.
Oh, yes. She's like, Some of the best ones are when she's like coming on to the teenage boys a little bit, because what like all three of them want the attention of lovers, but she's to the max. On that scale. It's
and really to mention off of that, to like just to hint at some of the humor this movie has, like it has more adult humor than I expected it to. Because I think I should go further into what I had said earlier. I opened up our threesome here by saying that I'd never seen Hocus Pocus before.
Yeah.
And if anybody I know listens to this, they're gonna be like, he told me he watched that movie. I did. I 100% did. I lied to a lot of people for a very long time because I discovered that I'm one of those people that if you tell me to watch something over and over again, like if you keep telling me I have to watch this, you have to watch this, oh, you're going to love this, I am going to adamantly refuse to watch it. I don't know why. It's a mindset I definitely have to work out. But it is who I am, because I guess it irritates me that people they want me to be happy. I don't know why. But people know what I want, and they just want me to watch something, and I get it. But this is one of those movies that when I was young, people, if you told them that you hadn't seen this movie, they went out of their way to try to get you to watch this movie. Like they would bombard,
yeah.
It's terrible, you're like, oh, I'm just going to have a party this weekend. It's like, oh, cool. And they come to the party and they have Hocus Pocus. And it's like, we can watch this. And it's like, no.
That's not what I wanted to do.
We're drinking. But no, I discovered, though, that it's also one of those movies that when people are like, oh, have you seen Hocus Pocus? And you say, yes, I have. They don't go into it. They're okay with letting it. They're okay with letting it be. It's like if somebody brings up Star Wars and says, I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars too. I don't love all the movies, but I'm gonna ask them. I'm gonna go into that conversation. I'm like, oh, what did you like? Did you like the prequels? Did you like the sequels? With Hocus Pocus, people don't need to go into it. They say, have you seen Hocus Pocus? Yeah, I liked it. That's good enough for them. They don't need to defend their movie. They don't need to, discuss what was great about it. They like just letting it be. And
There's
so I
no
lied.
contention against this movie being a decent, well-rounded
enjoyable.
movie.
Just enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a good
You can just let it be. You don't have to go into. You don't have to nitpick this movie.
And there's definitely things
to nitpick. But yes. Yeah. But what I was saying though was, yes, I lied to a lot of people, and I'm sorry. But I have now seen this movie, and one thing, to go back to my original, what we were talking about, I didn't realize how much, like, all the adult humor in this movie.
Right.
Because there's a moment where I think they're getting on a school bus or something, or maybe it's just a normal bus, the witches are. And the driver the driver asks, and the driver asks, he's like, oh, what can I do for you? They're like, we desire children. and his response is, well, that might take me a few tries, but it shouldn't be a problem. As a kid, I wouldn't have gotten that joke at all. As an adult, I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that kind of a line in this.
That whole bus scene ends with Sarah Jessica Parker sitting on his lap, and then Bette Midler's like, okay, girls, let's go. And she gets up to leave, and he's like, hey, you just gonna leave me hanging like that? And she says, oh, you would hate me in the morning.
Oh man, it's crazy. But it's like that's part of what makes it a good movie, is an adult can watch this with their kids and enjoy it just as much, because there's quite a lot of that kind of humor. But it's also a little, just like the other movies, it's a lot more morbid than I thought it was. I feel like when I was a kid, a lot of the violent stuff just went over my head. Again, I haven't seen Hocus Pocus, but like with Scooby-Doo, where they're tossing a head around, or Halloweentown has a joke in it. Where they're talking about how you keep leftover chicken, and
Yeah.
the grandmother's like, "Oh, you know it stays much longer on the bone," and she just brings the chicken back to life. And then the mom's like, "No, don't do that," and then she just kills the chicken again, just turns it right back into the fucking legs. It's like, it's crazy morbid. And Hocus
And then
Pocus has that too. Oh, sorry, go
And
ahead.
then as she's leaving, she fills the refrigerator with a bunch of live chickens,
Yeah.
and you just hear a bunch of clucking, and the refrigerator shakes a little bit.
It's crazy.
That's probably like one of the best bits of the movie, honestly.
Yeah. But Hocus Pocus has that morbidity too, because there's a scene where the kids literally burn the witches alive and watch
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they
do.
they put them in a kiln, they turn it on, and then they open that little door latch, and they just stand there and they watch them burn. I'm like, what the fuck?
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, one of them says, "I want to watch them die."
Yeah.
Is that in this movie?
Yeah, there's a I think the line is, "I want to see them turn to dust."
Oh, yeah. That's just about the same.
Yeah.
But this is not necessarily morbid, but the protagonist, boy L.A. Wonder, can't remember the character's name. He tries to trick the witches when they first meet them by bringing down the fire water.
Oh yeah.
he pretends like he's casting a curse, and they get all worried.
Well, that's part of that's another thing that it's just purely enjoyable about this movie is the out of fish out of water scenes with the witches, because they're from old timey Salem, and now they're in the 90s. You know, so it's just like they're trick or treating, and they come across Satan. You know, a guy dressed up as Satan, and they think he's their actual master, so they go into his house where he like creepily like. That's a weird
That is the
scene.
weirdest scene. That is so weird.
The wife is so against them being in her house.
Yes, it's like, why are these people here? Why are you dancing with this lady?
They're definitely having marital issues.
Oh, definitely. He was portraying the character well of Satan.
Satan.
Yeah.
Satan's a wee bit horny.
Yes, just a wee bit. Man. I think that they kind of were hinting at that this couple used to be swingers, and he's trying to bring it back, but she's like, "No, I won't do it."
I wasn't looking that much into it.
I don't know. There was some kind of weird line when he first comes in the house and introduces them. She says something about like he always wants to have an adventure or something like that. Yeah, it was weird.
Jim never had a second cup of coffee at home.
So if you're concerned about your children picking up on sexual innuendo, there's some scenes in this movie, but if you're not, they probably won't
if you're a cool
pick
parent.
up on it. If you're a cool parent.
No, I think this is a great movie still for especially older kids. Well, I would say, younger kids can still enjoy this just as much. You know, it's like, I wouldn't say that a young child shouldn't watch this movie, but I feel like the people who will enjoy it most are, those that are just churning 10 or something,
Right, yeah. There's definitely enough humor for kids to enjoy, but honestly, I would say all in all, this movie was written for the parents.
Yeah.
There's and
I read it wasn't
the Sanderson
really liked
sisters are great.
Yeah, I read it wasn't liked by critics when it came out, but but people liked it, and it became a cult classic. Like, I mean, I can kind of understand why critics wouldn't like it. There's tiny nitpicks that I could get at. But I don't want to. It's too fun of a movie. There
is one thing I want to talk about, and that is the bully characters. They're almost. I mean, they're like the B story antagonists, and I don't remember the blonde kid's name, but the one kid's name is Ernie, but he doesn't want it to be Ernie anymore. Now it's Ice.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. He shaved it into the
and
back of his head.
it's etched into the back of his head.
Fucking idiot.
And they are just the worst little sociopaths they could be. Honestly, that blonde kid scares me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, and there's just this one line.
Okay, go on.
Okay, there's this one line that he gives off when they first meet the protagonist, and they find out that he's from L.A.
L.A.?
They find out he's from L.A. And he says, the guy just, like, they're making fun of him, and the guy just tries to keep on going, like you're supposed to when you run into bullies. And the guy puts his hands on the handlebars, and he's like, "Where are you going?" "Hollywood." And just the delivery, I don't think I'm doing it justice. Like, I'm not sure if he's trying to ask another question, like if Hollywood by itself is another question, or if
he's calling him a nickname Hollywood.
Yeah, or if it's a nickname Hollywood, like it's definitely supposed to be threatening, and if I were there, I would be scared. But not because that guy's trying to be scary, because I just, in a social situation, have no idea what to do.
Yeah. It's like with the, what is the movie, Warriors? It's like, Warriors, when he's clinking the glass bottles together. He's like, "Come out and play." it's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be intimidated, but I'm kind of intimidated.
It's like, this is really weird.
He does. That's another. What I was gonna say was that's another thing that I didn't like about this movie. Big spoilers here. At the end, the hero, boy, our protagonist, he doesn't even save the bullies.
No, he does not. They are left to their just desert.
Yep. He just leaves them there.
But it's pretty bad. It's a pretty bad message at the end. It's like, oh yeah, this kid just saved the town from witches, but he also just left these two kids to starve to death.
Yeah, fuck those kids. Just leave them hanging.
Like literally.
It's so cruel. I
couldn't believe it either. But those guys were assholes.
This isn't true at all, but I was gonna say that it went from a 3.5 to a 3. No, I was gonna give it 3 stars out of 4, no matter what.
That's a good score, I think.
But yeah, I couldn't believe that message at the end. It's crazy.
But it was a funny movie the whole time. I wish that there was a little scene where he was like, "Oh yeah, and there's these 2 kids at the old museum." Like, if he would have done that, like, at the very least, I wouldn't think that he was an evil little bastard.
Yeah, right.
But I'm glad he got his shoes back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But
I
love the movie. Love it. Great on a first watch. I'm definitely going to add it back into the marathon for later years. Wonderful humor, perfect casting. I understand its cult status. Makes total sense.
Yeah, welcome.
Definitely
to the club,
recommend. And overall, for the threesome, I did not go into this threesome, like the last one. I was definitely biased on the last one. Right. This one, it can go any way. They're all movies of nostalgia. Hocus Pocus wasn't part of my childhood, but the other 2 were. Halloweentown definitely did not live up to nostalgia. It goes in the trash. I would not invite it back to another threesome. In fact, goodbye.
I can
Halloweentown.
Agree with that. Yeah. I can agree with that.
We'll remain friends.
If you're in it to set up the second movie and it is as good as I recall it to be, then maybe watch it. But
we'll probably watch. Yeah, we'll probably watch the second someday. But I don't think we'll need to rewatch the first one to remember that.
No.
But I honestly went in slightly more biased towards Scooby-Doo, just because Scooby-Doo has a huge part of my childhood. And I hadn't seen Hocus Pocus, but talking about it, I would say that I would invite Hocus Pocus back to another threesome because I think it performed the most. It delivered the most. It touched all the right places. Kept me interested throughout. My stamina never drained at all during it.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Unlike Emily at the very beginning of the movie. Okay, no spoilers there. You don't understand what I was talking about if you haven't seen this movie. If you have, you do. I think I'm right there with you. I did honestly think it was a little close until I rewatched Hocus Pocus because it had been a while. I rewatched the Zombie Island movie, and honestly, it was better than I had recalled.
It's a great movie.
It's a really well-rounded kids movie.
I wouldn't mind Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island coming to another threesome.
I would not mind.
I would say the better of the three.
Yeah, I'm inviting the Sanderson sisters. Yeah,
specifically. Oh man, but no, Scooby-Doo's great. It's got a beautiful fucking song by again Sky Cycle, Terror Time. Look that up. Jam out to it. Fun. Remember your 90s childhood self jamming out to that. But yeah, definitely Hocus Pocus all the way.
Awesome. So I think we're in agreement there. Hocus Pocus all the way. So if you haven't seen it yet, you could find it. I believe you could find that and Halloweentown if you're interested on Disney Plus, correct?
Yeah. Yep. And Scooby-Doo on Netflix.
So in closing, I actually have a little Halloween thing to talk about just because we did Scooby-Doo.
Oh man.
Just something for our listeners. You are in the know now that the Green Traveler and myself played Scooby-Doo and Shaggy Rogers respectively for a Halloween apartment trick-or-treating in our undergrad.
Yeah.
That was our first year living together, I think. Yeah.
Nothing like two grown men. One in a jammied Scooby-Doo costume.
and
running around.
And the other in a regular green t-shirt.
Totally sober too. Nothing in my system.
Yes, we were. Because we had visitors.
It's bad.
But there was the whole
Miss
gang was there. The whole gang was
lovely.
there.
And we took the worst out of focus shots ever, so that you can't really at all see us.
No. You could figure out that it was supposed to be the Scooby-Doo gang because we did that head pile on in the doorway thing.
Yeah. But I don't know if you could
better, I think it would have been better.
Yeah. Oh, I mean it all looked good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it was out of focus and did not look good. But you can tell who we're portraying. You can't tell who's portraying.
Yeah, you can't tell who's portraying you.
We could all run for political office until now because of this, but we could run for political office and deny that completely. Be like, no, that wasn't me. Does that look like me? That wasn't me.
No, that looks like a dog.
No, that's a dog that's about 30 pounds heavier. Yeah. I had more weight then.
Yeah.
And you still carried me in your arms.
I did, yeah, I did. just for the picture.
But
that was fun.
This has been on the couch. Yet another threesome. We'll have another one coming up next week. Another horror themed one. We'll actually be getting into the horror themes instead of just dancing lightly around with our childhood here.
We're gonna dive right in. We're just tippy-toeing for right now, and then we're like, fuck it.
We're spending money on this shit now.
Yeah.
Now we're getting the stuff we have to rent.
Yeah.
Damn
so
it.
Get ready to break out your wallet for at least one of these
to.
Movies. If you want to. If you're watching along. Oh, boy. All right. Well.
They're not.
I am the Faceless Leon.
I'm the Green Traveler. I love
Good night,
y'all.
everybody.
Good night.
Love. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. It is our intent to publish new episodes each Thursday evening. If you enjoyed the show or wish to make a suggestion, feel free to leave us a comment. Good night.